Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Ty Emmecca, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, Advisor, Elagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeya, Bokur. I reside in this beautiful and legendary, historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo.
They say the greatest thing on earth is the knowledge of self. Welcome to Pathology. Let's go.
Maulisa is a significant deity in the Vodun, or Voodoo, tradition, especially among the Fon people of West Africa, particularly in Benin. Mau is often associated with the moon, feminine energy, fertility, and the earth, while Lisa represents the sun and masculine energy, creativity, and enlightenment. Together, they embody a duality that reflects the balance of feminine and masculine principles, as well as the cyclical nature of existence. Duality and balance. At the core of Mawu Lisa's symbolism is the principle of duality, which permeates many spiritual traditions. Their union signifies the integration of opposites, light and dark, active and passive, night and day. This balance is crucial for harmony in the universe, and can be seen as a metaphor for the interconnectedness of all things, suggesting that nothing exists in isolation. Creation mythology. In Vodun mythology, Mawu and Lisa are credited with the creation of the world. Their stories often describe how they shaped the earth, populated it with life, and established the natural rhythms of time and seasons. They exemplify the idea of a cosmic blueprint, where creation is not merely physical, but also deeply spiritual, rooted in intention and energy. Feminine and masculine archetypes. Mau embodies the nurturing and intuitive aspects of the divine feminine, representing wisdom, compassion, and the nurturing of life. Lisa, on the other hand, reflects the active, creative aspects of the divine masculine, representing clarity, intellect, and illumination. Together, they remind us that both qualities are essential for a complete understanding of existence and must be honored and integrated within ourselves. Cycles of existence. The relationship between Mawu and Lisa is also reflective of natural cycles, such as the lunar and solar cycles. These cycles govern not only the physical world, but also human consciousness and emotional states. Understanding and harmonizing with these cycles can lead to deeper insights into personal growth and spiritual development. Symbol of unity. Mawu Lisa serves as a symbol of unity within diversity, how disparate elements work together to create a harmonious whole. This idea resonates with many cosmic philosophies that highlight the interwoven nature of reality, where every being has a role and purpose within the grand tapestry of life. Spiritual practices. In various Vodun practices, worship of Mawu Lisa involves rituals that honor the natural elements, align oneself with the energies of the cosmos, and seek balance in one's life. This might involve offerings, prayers, or meditative practices that cultivate an awareness of both the inner and outer worlds. Cosmic consciousness. The understanding of Mawu Lisa encourages individuals to tap into a sense of cosmic consciousness, seeing beyond the physical world into the interconnected web of life. This perspective fosters compassion and empathy, as one recognizes that the struggles and joys of others are intrinsically linked to their own. Art and culture. Mawu Lisa has also inspired a wealth of artistic expression within the cultures that honor them, serving as a muse for storytelling, visual arts, music, and dance. These mediums offer a way to explore and express the profound mysteries of existence, as well as the relationship between humanity and the divine. Archetypes of the soul. Mawu and Lisa can be seen as archetypal representations of the journey of the soul. Mawu embodies intuition, introspection, and the nurturing qualities of the soul's journey inward, while Lisa represents consciousness, enlightenment, and the outward expression of our individuality and vitality. The dance between these energies mirrors our own inner conflicts and harmonies, inviting us to engage in self-discovery.
Welcome to Pathology. Double tap the screen. Follow for more. By the way, your support means everything. Unlock the full experience. Dive deeper into the content you love by subscribing to my YouTube channel at Pathology 365. Link in bio. Let's explore together.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101, powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Our third annual New Orleans International Voodoo Day, May 23rd and May 24, 2026, promises an inspiring and immersive experience with a diverse lineup of engaging events. Highlights include an educational symposium featuring distinguished speakers from around the world, including a delegation of scholars and spiritual leaders from Benin and Haiti, as well as art exhibitions showcasing voodoo-inspired works by talented local and international artists. The event will also feature a children's program and an Afroecology exhibit exploring the sacred nature of plants in voodoo, their role in spiritual practices, and their connection to our ancestors. The weekend will culminate in a ceremonial procession to 9 significant sites throughout the city, locations where the enslaved were brought ashore, held, auctioned, and where they later found community and built culture. This journey will begin at the transatlantic slave route to New Orleans marker on the river, on the moonwalk just behind Jackson Square, and conclude with a traditional voodoo ceremony at Congo Square. Additionally, visitors can participate in interactive workshops, community discussions, and opportunities to connect with practitioners and cultural experts throughout the year. This multifaceted celebration offers something for everyone, creating a meaningful space to honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire the future. And we continue to invite your support, your visitation, your volunteership, and participation by visiting us at www.vodouday.org. Again, www.voodooday.org. VODOUDAY.org. We are also thankful for your continued participation in our weeknight 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time podcast on a social media site near you, as well as my YouTube channel by way of this StreamYard link. Thank you so much, Daniel Neal, for your participation and support, faithful community member. Greetings and salutations to you and yours as well, Ray Alexander. We certainly appreciate your participation and support. And greetings and salutations to you, Britt Brad Dash. We thank you so much for your continued support and participation in the live chat room. And we will be unmuting our beloved co-host, the Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez, Elder Reggie, identified as Green Soap on this platform, founder and leader of Shrine of the White Cloth, Brother Joshua Nylan Tanner, my armor bearer, uh, Black Hawk Wild Man, and First Priest for House of the Divine Prince, and beloved Bianca Johnson Plessy, a temple member of the Source, as well as a member of NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. I just have a brief reading, and then we will continue the conversation. We left off in a discussion of plantation life and labor. On both sugar and cotton plantations, enslaved people endured regimented, factory like conditions that used advanced management strategies to enforce ruthless efficiency. Field labor was typically organized into a gang system, with groups of enslaved people performing coordinated, monotonous work under the strict supervision of an overseer who maintained pace, rhythm, and synchronization. Large plantations often deployed multiple gangs. For example, one to drill holes for seeds, another to drop the seeds, a third gang to close the holes, working in succession like an assembly line. Large plantations also gave rise to enslaved specialists, enslaved foremen and drivers who managed menial workers, as well as skilled artisans like blacksmiths, carpenters, coopers, and spinners. To maintain control and maximize profit, slaveholders deployed violence alongside other coercive management strategies. Those who submitted to authority or exceeded their work quotas were issued rewards, extra clothing, payment, extra food, liquor. These incentives were counterbalanced by the infliction of pain and emotional trauma. In addition to regular whippings, enslavers subjected the enslaved to beatings, burnings, rape, bodily mutilation, public humiliation, confinement in stocks, pillories, plantation dungeons, leg shackles, and iron neck collars, and family separation. The diary of Bennett H. Barrow, a wealthy West Valenciana parish cotton planter, mentions hand sawing enslaved persons, dunking them under water, staking them to the ground, shooting them, raking Negro heads, and forcing men to wear women's clothing. And during the 23-month period represented by the diary, Barrow personally inflicted at least 160 whippings. Some diary entries had a general whipping frolic or whipped about half today, revealed indiscriminate violence on a mass scale. Plantation owners spent a remarkably low amount on provisions for enslaved Louisianians. In 1830, the Louisiana Supreme Court estimated the cost of clothing and feeding an enslaved child up to the time they became useful at less than $15. In 1844, the cost of feeding an enslaved adult for 1 year was estimated at $30. Typically, the enslaved plantation worker received a biannual clothing allotment consisting of 2 shirts, 2 pants or dresses, and 1 pair of shoes. Pork and cornmeal rations were allocated weekly. Enslaved plantation workers were expected to supplement these inadequate rations by hunting, fishing, and growing vegetables in family garden plots. Family and the emotional nourishment it provided were among the most valuable survival resources available to enslaved plantation workers. Most sought to maintain nuclear households, though the threat of forced family separation through sale always loomed. In antebellum Louisiana, roughly half of all enslaved plantation workers lived in two parent families, while roughly three-fourths lived in either single parent or two parent households. One large plantations On large plantations, enslaved families typically lived in rows of raised wooden cabins, each consisting of two rooms, with one family occupying each room. When possible, enslaved Louisianians created privacy by further partitioning the space with old blankets or spare wood. While elite planters controlled the most productive agricultural lands, Louisiana was also home to many smaller farms. Roughly 15% of enslaved Louisianians lived on small family farms, holding fewer than 10 people in bondage. In contrast to those living on large plantations, enslaved people on smaller farms worked alongside their owner, the owner's family, and any hired enslaved people or wage workers. These families grew various combinations of cotton, tobacco, grains, and foodstuffs. Cattle rearing dominated the southwest Attakapas region. In remote backwoods regions in northern and southwest Louisiana, these were often subsistence farmers, relatively cut off from the market economy. And I'm going to draw to a close on the reading today with resistance. The common and visible way that enslaved people resisted population conditions was by running away. Fugitives found refuge in the state's remote swamps and woods, a practice known as maroonage. By hunting, foraging, and stealing from neighboring plantations, Maroons lived in relatively freedom for days, months, even years. And though usually temporary, the practice provided the Maroon with an invaluable space to care for their psychological well being, reestablish a sense of bodily autonomy, and forge social and community ties by engaging in cultural and religious rituals apart from white surveillance. Patrols regularly searched the woods, the bayous, and the swamps for maroons. And Louisiana slaveholders complained that suppressing maroonage was the most irksome part of being a slaveholder. Other enslaved Louisianians snuck aboard steamboats with the hope of permanently escaping slavery. They followed one of two routes: an upriver journey to Ohio or a downriver journey to New Orleans, where they hoped to stow away aboard ocean going vessels bound for Northeast or Europe. Both routes were vigorously policed by law enforcement, slave patrols, customs officials, and steamboat employees. Enslaved plantation workers also engaged in coordinated work stoppages, slowdowns, and sabotage. Slaveholders often suspected enslaved people of complicity whenever a barn caught fire, or a tool went missing, or a boiler exploded, though today's historians often struggle to distinguish enslavers' paranoia from actual organized resistance. Louisiana planters also lived in constant fear of insurrections through the presence of heavily armed white majorities in the South, usually prohibited large scale rebellions that periodically reckoned Caribbean and Latin American societies with large enslaved populations. The largest rebellion in U.S. history occurred in Louisiana in 1811 when some 200 to 500 enslaved plantation workers marched on New Orleans, burning sugar plantations en route in a failed attempt to overthrow the plantation system. And in the discovery of this document, I also came across a very useful website, uh, enslaved.org, enslaved.org, a journal of slavery and data preservation. A journal of slavery and data preservation is a digital academic journal that publishes original data sets about the lives of enslaved Africans and their descendants, drawn from the documents produced from the 15th to the early 20th centuries. Journey of slavery and data preservation is also the method by which data is contributed to enslaved.org. And this is particularly specific to New Orleans. Since 2018, enslaved Peoples of the Historical Slave Trade, or enslaved.org, has served the needs of scholars, genealogists, students, and members of the public interested in the people of the historical slave trade. Enslaved.org is a discovery hub that centers the lives of named enslaved and freed individuals who are made searchable and discoverable through a large and growing number of data sets and digital projects. Researchers can learn from linking data, visualizing larger relationships and movements, and connecting the fragments of information about people's lives from one data set to the next. And what I found particularly intriguing, they have a total of 280,507 total records. These records include 161,109 people, 117,723 events, 83 places, and 1,592 sources. And they reference particularly ethnogroups, ethno-linguistic descriptors found in these documents, as well as racial descriptors found in these documents. 80,692 as Black, 6,588 as mulatto, 2,258 as white. Grift, Griff, grift, which I found was another reference to mixed race, mulatto, quadroon, and people of a various mixture. But grift in the documents is also listed as a distinct category from of color, 719 people, quadroon, 493 people, Black, again, 481 people, of color, in lowercase, 477 people, Indian, 240 people. Interesting enough, Negress, 103, Negro, 57, Metis, 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 which is said to be a mixture of white and Indian, 33 people, Mulatto, 22 people, other are listed as 18, Mulatta, 18, Mulattress, 18, Negre, Negre, 13, Mulatto in lowercase 11, Mulatta, capitalized 11, Negress in lowercase 11, Negro in capital N, Negro 7, Negra 6, Negre 6, Negris, Negresse 5, Mulatre, Mulatre 5, Negra, Negra, Negra 5, Octoroons 4, and another 4 Mulatto, 3 Moreno, 3 Negris, 2 Mulattress, Quadroons, Griffs, Mulattoes, Morenos, all of various spellings and different capitalization. The ethno-linguistic descriptors include the Congo, 2,556 from the Congo, 385 from Guinea, 333 Bambara, 313 Mina, 268 Mandinga, 244 Nago, which we know today as the Yoruba, 108 Pollard, 38 Nar, 36 Fawn, 30 Creole, 26 Arada, 20 Angola, 17 Conga, 14 Mandingo, 13 Sosa, 10 Mondongo, 9 Mozambique, 7 Pular, 7 Conga, 6 Bambara with a different spelling, 5 Makua, 4 Mako, 3 Kisa, Diola, Kisi, Kango, 2 Dangba, Bamba, Karabali, Ganga, Sira, Barbara, 1 Barba, B-A-R-B-A, Barba, 1 Arara, 1 Damba, 1 Hausa, 1 Jola, 1 Bako, 1 Dumba, Bamba, Osa, and another Hausa of a more complex spelling. And again, these were specific to Louisiana, 44.5% female, 55.5% male in this particular archive registry, representing 91.7% enslaved persons. Another, I would say, 5.9% enslaver or owners, and then a remaining 2.3% free people of color. And as I now unmute my beloved co-hosts, Elder Reggie, Brother Joshua, Bianca, and Queen Mother Toni Val Martinez, we want to be mindful. Voodoo arrived here with the first enslaved cargo of our ancestors. 100 years or more before the Haitian Revolution, and as I just listed, from a diversity of ethnic groups, clans, tribe is a derogatory word, but ethnic groups, clans, regions brought their practices, their memories, their ability to know how to count in their original language, but now in a forced language into Louisiana, into this place. And so we want to always acknowledge those who came before, those ancestors who suffered, bled, and died, but surely laid the foundation upon which we now stand in representation for international voodoo demonstration. Greetings, Sister Toni. Please come on in. Elder Reggie, Brother Joshua, Sister Bianca.
Good evening, everyone in the listening audience and on the panel. Brother Joshua, Elder Reggie, Bianca, and Divine Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they sure had a lot of ways to divide us, right? All of those names and different classifications. If you was 1/4 this and 2/3 of that, oh my God, then you had the Red Bones and all of these other people. I don't see how anyone really could keep up with that. Oh my God. I mean, think about after a slave been sold, say 2 or 3 times. What did they come with pedigree papers saying their granddaddy was black and their grandmama was Indian and black and this is what they are? I mean, how they even kept up to know who was who by those terms. I mean, it boggles the mind, the lengths they went to classify us, to keep us separated.
Yeah.
from being
And that's what I
one.
was thinking. I was thinking like how they come up with all those names to just say, okay, well, this person gonna be mulatto or this person gonna be this, like just those different races and breed, like where they come up with all those different names.
Well, I think those names are actually like different classifications in other languages. Like some of it was Spanish. I remember some of it that he was talking about, like Negres, spelled with the E, SSE. Um, Latin, it's an old Latin way of, just Negro. But it denotes that they're Spanish. So in terms of that, I just think it just shows the diversity of our people as people of color across the world that came through here. And I'm sure that they wanted to hold on to some of that. And that could also be what they're trying to do in their own language. Like, this is who I am. I'm not sure. But it's definitely interesting.
But it's just, even in those other languages, those words still meant somebody of mixed breed.
Of course. Yeah.
So, it just, like Sister Bianca said, who came up with all these names in any language for mixed race people?
Yeah.
Who decided, okay, they sit down at a meeting one day. But what about if the person got this, that, and the other thing? Oh, we gonna call them this. It just, the thought and preparation that went into this system, it just boggles my mind.
Yeah, it's to confuse us, though. It's almost like a way of just deterring us from our source, or us embracing ourselves as a collective. Because, like
I
Divine
can't
said,
tell one car from another.
yeah.
I can't tell one dog from another unless it's like a Doberman or a German Shepherd or Chihuahua. And then the next thing for me is mutt. And that goes to all the mixes in that one dog, all the breeds in that one dog. You just a mutt, and mutt is the best dog to have, to me.
Yeah.
And when he was talking about the punishments on the plantation, the slaves in the city got punished also. People made a business out of having places where you can send your slaves to be whipped in the city of New Orleans. By the houses being, there was no overseer in the city because they didn't have large numbers and it wasn't a plantation. The work to be done was usually housework and maybe driving a carriage. And most of the people over the slaves in the household were female. So they definitely wasn't going to get out there with a whip. So you could bring your slave to a place and tell them, I want them to get 30 lashes. I want them to be beat till they pass out. I want you to do this, but don't hit them in the face. Just the whole system of how it ran was is exhausting.
Yep.
And a lot of the whippings at the whipping factory, that's what I'm gonna call it, were done outside so that other slaves and free people of color could witness it as a threat or a way to put fear in them. Like, just because you walking around don't mean you can't get some of this. It is just, I don't know. They found all these categories for us, but when it came down to them mixing with cultures, they always picked Okay, an Irishman and an Italian mixed together. If the daddy was Italian, that person Italian, point blank in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But they come up with all these divisions for black people.
Mm.
Yeah,
What you say,
Yeah.
Joshua?
Mm-hmm.
they do it just to keep us in a trap. You know, for somebody to tell you who you are, or for you to depend upon it, it's just it's what we've lived through, what we've been surviving and getting through and living through. And I would say that, like I said, it's something that, yeah, it's very oppressive, but it's the system that was put in place here to conquer and take over this continent and other places that the U.S. has been to conquer and declare democracy and declare all these other things that they're the civilizers of the world, but we're going to do it in the name of of democracy and hypocrisy and kill people and take away from people their culture and their language and their who they are, who they speak of themselves to be, and give them a different classification that's less than who we are, that's coming in to conquer and take over. It's all a power. It's all a power grab. That's all it is. And I think that we as a people gotta understand that game and reverse that power grab and be like, I'm not gonna allow them. I'm not gonna allow to be treated. I mean that's what happened with the freedmen in 1866 with that march.
Mm-hmm.
They came out of the war and was not. They went through all that and they were not gonna settle for anything less. It was like we're coming for what we were owed and what we was told to get, and that's accountability, and that's what has to happen.
All the complexions united for that
Mm-hmm.
march. What say you, Bianca?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that I did wanted to mention is like, so I am married to a Plessy. So, and they are homers to Homer Plessy, which is known for New Orleans, and the popular, what it's like for him to gain access to sit on the electric car. So they had this whole big thing of the Plessy versus Ferguson. And a lot of things that I learned when I was married to Plessy is, of course, like you guys were saying, that he was a higher complexion. Um, they classify him as a free person of color, but then at the same time, it's like when he purchased the ticket to go on that electric car train for the white only, they looked at him as he was a high complexion, like a high yellow person. I don't know what that would have been back in the day. I don't know if that would have been classified as a mulatto or how would that been classified. But like you say, everyone come in different colors and shades. And he was classified to them as a white person before they even noticed that he was so many percentage of black. So when it go down to how can you dictate who can sit there by the color of your skin complexion and stuff, and what color, like what name would you be listed under as that race?
Well, apparently, at the end of all things, in that situation, he was a Negro. He was a Negro. At the end of the day, they didn't even worry about the classification as far as mulatto and all of that. They just knew he was not white.
Mm.
And look at whoever sold him the ticket, he looked white enough. They didn't second look. But once he got to boarded, somebody must have looked at a feature or something to say, no, he not white. He a high yellow Negro. And
Mm-hmm.
that, must have kicked it off. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it just, all of them color classifications and mulatto and octoroon, all of that was kept to divide us. You had people like, I'm looking for other octoroons to start with. You might not see another octoroon for years. And I mean, it's just confusing. Like they say, that person, those masters, they are master race of confusion. The language is confusion. The English language, the American language, is the American language. It's not even English. American language is confusing. How they classify people is confusion. Even myself, once when I went to go get my ID, I didn't pay attention at first. The person just looking at me, I guess I didn't fill out that part of the application going so fast. The person just looking at me and put me down as white. And when I get outside, I look at the license and I'm like, oh, hell no. So I had to go back in and they want you to get, I'm not getting back in line. Nobody asked me this. Y'all gonna fix this now. You know, I looked at it, I tripped out. I mean, you can't tell, even in New Orleans.
Man, she must not have been from New Orleans.
I have no idea where the hell she was from, but she got it all wrong, you know. And when I went to Memphis after some time in Memphis, once my employer felt comfortable enough, they asked me. Now it's on my application, but they asked me, "What are you?" And I was like, "I'm black." And then they was like, "No, what else? Like, you're not just black." I'm black, and the other side I came from was black too. So that's black plus black equal black. Puerto Ricans are black.
Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah, but Sister Toni, I want to chime in. Good night, everyone. Divine Prince, always a great topic. Brother Josh, your wisdom. Sister Toni, I think my mind had went in a different direction than Sister Bianca in this collective chat. As Divine Prince was reading, post-traumatic slave syndrome immediately ran across my mind. And in the little time we have left, I just want to read just from Wikipedia, just a small paragraph, please. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, America legacy of enduring injury and healing. It is a 2005 theoretical work by Joy DeGruy, Lyric. I believe she's from New Orleans also. The book argues that the experience of slavery in the United States and the continued discrimination and oppression endured by African Americans creates intergenerational psychological trauma, leading to a psychological and behavioral syndrome common among present-day African Americans, manifesting as a lack of self-esteem, persistent feelings of anger, and internalized racist belief. The book was first published in 2005. And that encapsulated some of the stuff that I was picking up. And as you guys had continued to lay out your platform for tonight, I see all that is encapsulated inside of post-traumatic slave syndrome. From colorism to degradation to anger to low self-esteem to some people don't even want to be attached with the word Africa anymore. They want to just be straight from America as if that's it. But somehow they got degraded down and pushed into the African American experience. All this is part of this post-traumatic slave syndrome. Until we unpack that as a people and get that worked out, we stuck in this quagmire of confusion and degradation. That's what I see.
I totally agree.
I kind of agree. I think that people we have our different unique experiences. Like in terms of, I know for myself, I was actually talking with my family last night for probably like 6-7 hours about this topic, and not to put my own personal business out there, but there are some people that was here, of people of color that had been here in America prior to uh, the enslavement and the transatlantic slave trade. And that's a fact. And I'm an ancestor of those, and that's my ancestors. We've survived that, but we also led the way and pioneered and pushed through these names and these name callings of whatever the government wants to call people of color, but led the way to actually get acceptance in social society at the value set at the same set of white people, doing the same jobs, doing the same duties in the state of Louisiana and across the United States. So I'm here to say, I'm saying this to say that there is we all have diversity, and we should embrace our diversity as a people, and not feel a type of way just because someone has a different experience or a different shared experience than the other. We should also embrace that and also learn from it and also understand it, not as something as a division, but something as that just another compartment of value or understanding that we have, whether it be Black Cuba, wherever or Puerto Rico or Brazil, where have you. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think that is an issue at all whatsoever, but I think that the issue is the labels that we have been propagated to obtain and to hold on to by media and the influence of this government. And that's what we should be kind of firing at, I feel. Not so much the fact that people are different, but the fact that we understand that we've all been classified in a certain way. And through our own histories, we can pull the reason why it came to be by searching our genealogy and our family's records and understanding that for ourselves. But we all not going to have the same story. We all not going to have the same beginning and not going to have the same ending either. So I just think that we should look at things that way, because we're not a one-dimensional people at all.
Yeah, I have my baby sister. She have, like you said, everybody have their own experience. She have an identity crisis. She thinks she Mexican. That's what she identifies with.
Well,
And she still got to get a perm. And her hair is blonde.
she got,
And she look just like Etta James. But she love Marilyn Monroe. But she Mexican.
is she Mexican?
No, she not.
No, she's not.
Our mama is black. She
Oh.
black plus black. Mexicans black. She black. My mama black. Her daddy Mexican. He black. We got to stop classifying our own people
Yeah.
as anything other than you black. We got to do like them white folks did and make everybody white. I don't care if you German. I don't care if you Italian. You're white now. That's how they got over on us, because we outnumbered them. So they united under one flag. So that's what we got to do. Unite under one flag too. That's my opinion on it. But I'm going to give Elder Reggie the flow because it's time for us to close out.
Yes.
And pick this conversation up tomorrow.
Lest we forget, I'm with your sister, Toni. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. With that, I say, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you.
Good night, everyone. Love you. See you
Odabo.
tomorrow.
Good night
Did
to
you know
you
that
all.
The Addams Family was released during the Civil Rights Movement, and there is a reason for that? In fact, it aired the exact same year that the Civil Rights Act was passed. Now, in 1964, having an interracial, hyper-romantic, matriarch-led household went against everything that was being pushed on American families at the time. Now, the Addams Family was actually created in 1938 by Charles Addams. He ran a comic strip through the New Yorker just 5 years after a certain chancellor took over in Germany. From the beginning of its inception, this family was intended to mock rigid social order and remind us that being different was nothing to be afraid of. Critical media is crucial to the calibration of our society and what we should come to expect from ourselves and our leaders. And the Addams Family humorously and playfully mocked the post-depression social order that was being pushed onto many American families following the 1920s and the 1950s. The Addams Family features a white French-speaking mother and a Latino Spanish-speaking father. This was a highly divisive family archetype to be showing on the air. And not only that, but Gomez was fiercely in love with his wife. He would never mock her, and he was deeply compassionate with his children and his friends. He was a soft romantic at a time when television fathers were harsh and unforgiving and toxically alpha. Other shows that were airing at the time, like Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best, featured fathers that were stern providers, their wives submissive homemakers. While Gomez and Morticia were exactly the opposite. They were loving, compassionate, and equal partners. The family engaged in strange practices. They were collecting items from the bizarre and the macabre. They were delighting in the mortality of their own lives. And they were living 100% unapologetically. They showcased a deeply functional family with a highly unconventional appearance. And that softened many viewers at the time to the idea of a colorful family, at a time when those families were in real danger. At their core, the Addamses challenged everything that was currently present at the time when it was released. That's why the Addams Family mattered and still does today. It challenged prejudice, it softened hearts, and it helped audiences accept families that looked different in real life. And it's a reminder that stories aren't just entertainment. They calibrate our society. They shape what we accept and what we reject, even who we become. But through their charm and wit, the Addamses single-handedly changed the minds of an entire generation. Media that challenges the world that we live in and the ideas that we're being fed and offers the opportunity for us to reflect on our prejudice and how it might be misguided or how it might be misunderstood. It's critical for us to evolve as people. Think about it. When you finish your day, what do you do to unwind? It's entertainment, right? Whether it's a book, it's a song, it's a movie, it's a play, it's a podcast, they're stories. And stories are what keep us in check, and they remind us what we're capable of. It's why we read books to children. Stories can alter the trajectory of an entire person's life, their beliefs, their ideals, their morals. And when they become censored, that's when we lose ourselves. So in a world where you could be anything, be a Addams. Hell, Charles Addams, the creator of the Addams Family, never felt like he belonged in the real world, which is why he wrote himself into the family as a character, which is where we get Uncle Fester from. Did you know that the Addams Family was released during the Civil Rights Movement, and there is a reason for that? In fact, it aired the exact same year that the Civil Rights Act was passed. Now, in 1964, having an interracial, hyper-romantic, matriarch-led household went against everything that was being pushed on American families at the time. Now, the Addams Family was actually created in 1938 by Charles Addams. He ran a comic strip through the New Yorker just 5 years after a certain chancellor took over in Germany. From the beginning of its inception, this family was intended to mock rigid social order and remind us that being different was nothing to be afraid of. Critical media is crucial to the calibration of our society and what we should come to expect from ourselves and our leaders. And the Addams Family humorously and playfully mocked the post-depression social order that was being pushed onto many American families following the 1920s and the 1950s. The Addams Family features a white French-speaking mother and a Latino Spanish-speaking father. This was a highly divisive family archetype to be showing on the air. And not only that, but Gomez was fiercely in love with his wife. He would never mock her, and he was deeply compassionate with his children and his friends. He was a soft romantic at a time when television fathers were harsh and unforgiving and toxically alpha. Other shows that were airing at the time, like Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best, featured fathers that were stern providers, their wives submissive homemakers. While Gomez and Morticia were exactly the opposite. They were loving, compassionate, and equal partners. The family engaged in strange practices. They were collecting items from the bizarre and the macabre. They were delighting in the mortality of their own lives. And they were living 100% unapologetically. They showcased a deeply functional family with a highly unconventional appearance. And that softened many viewers at the time to the idea of a colorful family, at a time when those families were in real danger. At their core, the Adamses challenged everything that was currently present at the time when it was released. That's why the Addams Family mattered and still does today. It challenged prejudice, it softened hearts, and it helped audiences accept families that looked different in real life. And it's a reminder that stories aren't just entertainment. They calibrate our society. They shape what we accept and what we reject, even who we become. But through their charm and wit, the Adamses single-handedly changed the minds of an entire generation. Media that challenges the world that we live in and the ideas that we're being fed and offers the opportunity for us to reflect on our prejudice and how it might be misguided or how it might be misunderstood. It's critical for us to evolve as people. Think about it. When you finish your day, what do you do to unwind? It's entertainment, right? Whether it's a book, it's a song, it's a movie, it's a play, it's a podcast, they're stories. And stories are what keep us in check, and they remind us what we're capable of. It's why we read books to children. Stories can alter the trajectory of an entire person's life, their beliefs, their ideals, their morals. And when they become censored, that's when we lose ourselves. So in a world where you could be anything, be a Adams. Hell, Charles Addams, the creator of the Addams Family, never felt like he belonged in the real world, which is why he wrote himself into the family as a character, which is where we get Uncle Fester from. Did you know that the Addams Family was released during the Civil Rights Movement? And there is a reason for that. In fact, it aired the exact same year that the Civil Rights Act was passed. Now, in 1964, having an interracial, hyper-romantic, matriarch-led household went against everything that was being pushed on American families at the time. Now, the Addams Family was actually created in 1938 by Charles Addams. He ran a comic strip through the New Yorker just 5 years after a certain chancellor took over in Germany. From the beginning of its inception, this family was intended to mock rigid social order and remind us that being different was nothing to be afraid of. Critical media is crucial to the calibration of our society and what we should come to expect from ourselves and our leaders. And the Addams Family humorously and playfully mocked the post-depression social order that was being pushed onto many American families following the 1920s and the 1950s. The Addams Family features a white French-speaking mother and a Latino Spanish-speaking father. This was a highly divisive family archetype to be showing on the air. And not only that, but Gomez was fiercely in love with his wife. He would never mock her, and he was deeply compassionate with his children and his friends. He was a soft romantic at a time when television fathers were harsh and unforgiving and toxically alpha. Other shows that were airing at the time, like Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best, featured fathers that were stern providers, their wives submissive homemakers. While Gomez and Morticia were exactly the opposite. They were loving, compassionate, and equal partners. The family engaged in strange practices. They were collecting items from the bizarre and the macabre. They were delighting in the mortality of their own lives. And they were living 100% unapologetically. They showcased a deeply functional family with a highly unconventional appearance. And that softened many viewers at the time to the idea of a colorful family, at a time when those families were in real danger. At their core, the Adamses challenged everything that was currently present at the time.